It's falling over. It's taken a few steps, falling over. Looks real sick. Please give us a call. And this situation, they're out during day. They're out whenever. We have a canine distemper outbreak amongst the raccoons, and so I'd advise everybody, if your dog is not getting a yearly vaccine against other things other than rabies, you might want to take that into consideration. My dogs, every year they go see the doctor, they not only get their rabies vaccine, but they also get the distemper and parvo, and I mean, they get across the board. I make sure, because being in my position, you never know what I might be exposed to, and then I don't want to expose my pets to those illnesses. So, be mindful, of your pets. I mean, if you've noticed that there's a raccoon around, please give us a call so we can get that taken care of and removed from the area.
Yeah, they're nocturnal animals, right?
They are.
Okay.
They are nocturnal animals. There is no, you don't ever see them out during the day. If you do, there's a situation.
Yeah,
and
there's a problem.
The way that we can tell if it's distemper or rabies is with distemper, they still try to drink water. They still will go up to a water source and drink. And I just dealt with a raccoon, and I could tell if I stood there for a minute, watched it, and he did go up to a water source. He took a drink, and then he fell over, and then he got back up and he walked on. So I knew right then and there we're dealing with probably distemper. I will probably still send him in. I think it needs to be sent in just to confirm this isn't a rabies, an early onset of rabies.
Yeah.
You never know. So again, if you happen to notice raccoons hanging around during day, they look sick, thin.
I saw one when my transmitter sites I used to have in San Angelo. I saw one out in the middle of the day, and it was in July. It was over 100 degrees. And it would walk a little bit and fall over and walk a little bit, and then I noticed it was slobbering real bad. So I called the biologist, and she said, we'll be out there in just a few minutes. And they sent it in. Sure enough, it was rabies. And it takes quite a few, times of me, I can't just shoot it one time in the head, and because I need that head for rabies testing. So I have to maybe shoot an animal a couple times to get it. I don't want it to suffer any more than it already is suffering with that disease. But, so I just want to make the public aware that there is a canine distemper outbreak amongst raccoons. So be aware of your surroundings, and be mindful to make sure that you are getting your animals vaccinated, not just against rabies, but, you want to protect them against everything that you possibly can. Okay.
So, and that is a vaccine that is available at every vet that I know of. I've never gone to a vet and them say, "Oh no, we don't vaccinate for that."
Especially this one, right?
right. So I want everybody to be aware that there is something that you can do to prevent your animals from catching it.
Absolutely.
And just be mindful and make sure that you're aware of your surroundings. And if you see that, give us a call so we can get it taken care of.
Very good.
Another thing I wanted to talk about was our city ordinances. Let's talk about nuisance animals. I get a lot of calls about people that just, this animal is just a nuisance. And I'm going to explain. A nuisance means a dog or a cat or any other animal, either licensed or unlicensed, that molests passerbyers, chases passing vehicles, is not vaccinated against rabies as required, is repeatedly at large. We get a lot of people that their dogs are repeatedly at large. Well, your dog can be considered a nuisance.
Okay.
Turns over garbage cans, barks, whines, or howls in an excessive, loud, continuous fashion so as to unreasonably disturb nearby persons. There is a dog. I can sit outside my porch, and I think this dog is about 2 blocks away from my house, and I can hear him howl all the way to my house.
Not good.
So it's not good. These are nuisance. And then you have yowls, growls, or hisses in an excessive, loud, continuous fashion so as to unreasonably disturb nearby persons. Damages, soils, defiles, or defecates on private property other than the owners or on public sidewalks and recreational areas unless such waste is immediately removed and properly disposed of by the owner. When you are out walking your dog, if your dog decides, hey, this is a perfect spot, I gotta go. You know, when they gotta go, they gotta go. You should be carrying a bag, maybe some gloves, or maybe, you know, you turn a bag inside out, pick it up. You should be picking that up. It's you know, it's in our ordinance. Do not let your dogs defecate. Even if you have cats, they do not need to be using other people's property to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
And we've got causes unsanitary, dangerous, or offensive conditions. This would be, I think, if your dog's sick, your dog should not be out and causing unsanitary situations. You know, going to the bathroom. There's a lot of things that people don't realize. You know, animals can carry parasites in their stool, and if you don't know your dog has a parasite, you know, we came across a dog that looked really thin. Has owners that are trying everything they can to get their dog to gain weight, and they're doing the right thing. Well, when I picked up the dog, I had this gut feeling this dog probably has worms, and sure enough, the dog tested positive for hookworms, and he's being treated. He's put on weight, you know, and that's part
Very
of my
good.
job is to make sure that, you know, your dogs need to be getting the medical attention that they need. If you notice your dog's off a little bit, take him in. You know, say, hey, I need to know what's going on, you know, or your cat. You know, something's going on. My dog's just, you know, going to the bathroom excessive, not putting on any weight. Something's going on. You need to know, and you need to fix that.
Okay.
But that's unsanitary to have your dog doing that on somebody else's property.
Yeah.
Molests, attacks, or interferes with persons or other domestic animals, or is without the owner. So those are all considered a nuisance. And I get these calls quite often. So I just want everyone to be aware. If your dog is continuously howling, barking, you need to go out there and address it. You know, when you repeatedly get onto your animal, it's just like a child. When you repeatedly tell your child not to do something, animals are the same way. They're going to stop. You know, the cat, spray bottle water. They realize, hey, I shouldn't do that. You know, there's different ways, and it's all about persistence.
Okay.
And you know, owners need to be responsible for their pets, period. So that's just another thing that I wanted to address is that, you know, there are times where I let my dogs out and they bark and chase all the birds in my yard, and I have to go out there and tell them, quit, knock it off, you know, because it's annoying to me. If it's annoying to me, I know it's bothering the heck out of my neighbors.
Yep.
So unless you're wearing earmuffs or whatever, earplugs, and you're not hearing your own dog, you know, and you should know what your dog's doing at all times, even in your own yard. You know, you should be checking on them periodically. You don't want your dogs to escape, and then, you know, something, you know, God forbid if, you know, they get hit by a car or whatever, and I have to make that call to you or come by your house. You know, those are the worst cases. And I don't like doing it. So just, you know, be mindful. Dogs need to stay on their property unless you are walking them with a leash.
Okay.
And then let's talk about, you know, say you have nuisance wildlife, you know, just digging holes underneath.
We
You
don't
raise
have
your hand.
webcam out here, but I'm
Me?
raising my hand.
You know, I walked out my house this morning and I could smell it, and I knew it was not my truck because I didn't pick one up lately. There was a skunk somewhere around my house, and I could smell it all the way to the PD this morning. The police department even smelled. The faint smell of a skunk in the air.
Yes.
And I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find that sucker.
Well,
And yeah, he's
on my
got to
property,
leave the neighborhood.
When I go to the dumpster, it's like walking through a landmine.
You know, I tried to catch that sucker for you.
Well, I finally, yes, I never smelled anything, never saw any hair. And then about 3 o'clock one morning, I went outside to look at the stars, and I caught the culprit.
Yeah?
It was not a skunk. It was an armadillo.
Yeah, those are some big ones, too.
And he was not paying me one bit of attention, and he was just going on about his merry way, just digging and digging. And
They're pretty blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he probably didn't even realize you were there unless he felt the
never-
vibration of you walking up. He wouldn't.
Right.
Even,
I was being real quiet, so
Yeah.
he never knew I was anywhere around. But I
Yeah.
finally caught the culprit. So
Yeah, I set traps in your alleyway for about a week.
Yeah.
And the only thing I caught was because of where I set it. I set it on the edge of, Jennifer, she lives right behind you. So I set it, she told me I could set him right there along her property. She's like, just don't catch my cat. And her fault, she jinxed it. I caught her cat.
Oops, sorry.
So I put the trap in my truck. I drove around to the front of her house, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's your cat. Never caught the skunk, but then about a week later, a block down in kind of in the alleyway, we caught a huge skunk.
Wow.
And one of the
I
city
had
workers,
been smelling something, and
one
then
of
all
the
of a sudden
city
it
workers-
disappeared. So
yeah.
I bet you got it.
Yeah, the city worker had a trap set in their own yard, their trap, and it was a big trap, and it was a good thing it was a big trap because that was the biggest skunk I
Wow.
ever. I mean, he was huge.
Wow.
And they've caught quite a bit about a block down from y'all's house. So
Okay.
yeah,
Pepe Le Pew that gained weight, huh?
he did. He was eating large over there. Apparently, y'all got some good trash going out. Leftovers or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad
but
you got it because I had not smelled anything in a while, so I kind of
Right.
figured you probably got it.
Yeah, and I want to let everybody be aware too that these ordinances that I come in and I talk about and I read off, you can actually Google Sonora, Texas ordinance, and it's going to pull up a Sonora Muni code, I think is what it is. It's short for municipal codes. And all of my laws and ordinances are under Chapter 14, and that's all about animals and what you need to know and be aware. If you don't have a computer, the library is gracious enough to allow
Yes.
the public to come in and use those. You can also go by City Hall. City
Absolutely.
Hall will gladly tell you what an ordinance is if you need to know.
And they'll give you copies, right?
I think they do for a fee.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if it's 10 cents, 25 cents. I have
Well, that's
no
not bad.
clue what the fees are over there. I don't work over at City Hall, so I have no
Basically,
clue.
you're just paying for the paper, right?
Correct. You would pay for the paper, but they can print off
Okay.
any ordinance that you want to know about, and not just mine, but any ordinance, code enforcement, whatever. If you feel like a neighbor's being annoying and you know that that's in the ordinance, you can go down there and ask, hey, do y'all have an ordinance for this? And they can search that. So it's just, just know that you have rights to know these laws, and I love to come in and talk about all the laws. So with that being said, and knowing that I do set traps around town, we're going to talk about traps. A traps is means any device placed by the animal control officer, employed or used in the capture of animals that is not under the constant supervision of an officer and that functions in such a manner as to confine any animal entering the device. It's a trap that I can set, and I don't have to constantly watch that trap. It's going to do its purpose, and that's going to trap whatever animal it traps, and then I'll come back and remove it. So that's the definition of traps.
Okay.
And under Section 14-2, it says that traps, Section A, it shall be unlawful for any person to tamper with, spring, or cause to malfunction any trap set by the Department of Animal Control or to release any dog or cat from any such trap. Fees, if y'all want to release skunks, go for it. Go for it. Just go ahead and take care of the skunk yourself. I'm game. I'm game. Don't call me.
Okay.
but don't release cats or dogs from the trap.
Okay.
But if you want to release that skunk and not call me, I'm game. Go for it. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Okay.
That's my worst call. Go get a skunk.
Oh, I know.
Fees charged to set such traps on private property shall be as determined by the city council from time to time and on file in the office of the city secretary. And I will let you know the fee. I went and I checked what the fee is because I don't, again, work in City Hall, but that's where everybody would pay for their fees. So if you're requesting me to come set a trap, you go by City Hall and you can pay $2 per trap per day, and then they notify me or the police department, and we get those traps set, and it's going to be Monday through Friday. I cannot trap for cats on Fridays, so Thursdays those traps have to be picked up for now. but I did get certified so where we can take care of those feral cats in the
And this is
community at
if
any
it's on
time.
property, right?
Correct.
If it's in the alleyway in the back?
If somebody is requesting, well, I don't normally set traps just freely in the alley
Okay.
because of the dumpsters and the traffic that goes through
got
the
it,
alley.
okay.
It has to be on somebody's property, actual
Okay.
property. So if you're requesting a trap, then you've got to get a hold of City Hall. You've got to pay the fee, how long you want it there. At any time, that fee could change. But as of right now, I know the fee is $2 per day per trap.
Okay.
Okay? And then Section B, no person shall set up or allow to be set up on his property steel jaw traps, spring traps with teeth or perforated edges on the holding mechanism, or any type of trap with a holding mechanism designed in such a fashion as to reasonably ensure the cutting, slicing, tearing, or otherwise traumatizing of the entrapped prey for the purpose of ensnaring domestic or wild animals within the city limits, unless the use of such trap is specifically deemed necessary by the Department of Public Health in or for the control of communicable diseases. So any trap other than the traps that I have on hand should not be used.
Okay.
You are more than welcome to buy your own traps and use them. We're not telling you you can't. We're just saying that it needs to be humane. You can't cause pain, suffering. Some of these traps are legal for county. Some of them are just totally across the board illegal. It just depends on where you live and the licenses and stuff like that that you have. But I'm talking per city ordinance. You cannot just set whatever type of trap. It needs to be a trap like the ones that the city has. And that's that. Unless the health department says otherwise. If we have mice, rats, or whatever, they carry plague through the fleas. If we were to have some crazy freakish outbreak like that, then the health department would come in and set traps, and you'd be allowed to set whatever traps on your property to
Okay.
get rid of those, to keep those diseases from being spread.
Okay.
And then the last part of this, of traps is subsection C. It says, this section is not to be construed or include those traps designed to kill common rodents like rats, mice, gophers, and groundhogs, provided that the owner is responsible for taking care of any of the rodent traps and I got lost. Hold on.
Okay.
That the owner is responsible for taking care that any of the rodent traps are not placed or used on or about his property in such a manner as to reasonably ensure the trapping of any other domestic or wild animal or of a human. So
Okay.
we don't want children to get certain traps. A child could stick its arm in, and then we're taking a child to the hospital to have his arm amputated. Do not, it's one thing to use certain traps inside your house if you have mice, rats, whatever inside your house. Those sticky traps, the traps that enclose or whatnot, but you should not be putting those traps outside to where wildlife can get it. And then we also have the problem with migratory birds. They hunt these animals, and so we don't want migratory birds to get a hold of something that's been poisoned, because that bird's going to then die.
Yeah.
We've got owls and other things that it could kill them.
Okay. Got about a minute and a half left.
Okay, so I think that's about it. I wanted
Okay.
to go over nuisance
Good.
and traps.
Okay. Very good. Been visiting with Sarah Webb. She's our animal control officer and a whole bunch of other things.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for coming out and updating us.
Yes, thank you for letting me do a quick drop by.
Sure. Anytime.